احسان سانتش انجام میشه گل توی دروازه مهدی طارمی زد خودشون زدن گل برای ایران دقیقه 95 دروازه باز میشه چقدر کیف کردیم
ما داریم بازی میکنیم و داریم میریم برای گل زدن داریم گل میزنیم دروازه رو باز میکنیم صبر کنیم داور گل رو قبول نمیکنه.
Portugal looking trouble again. Is this the moment where Patricio's off his line and it's into the side netting on the far side of their ground.
روزبه چشمی توی دروازه ما مستحق این گل بودیم.
Is there a way through that back line though? And he goes towards Taremi and it squirms away from Turner and the referee waves away the appeals and that is that.
قائدی تو گیری عالی خوده مهدی قائدی گل برای ایران هست برخورد با شماره 2 که داور اعتقادی به خطا نداره با کار دنبال میشه قرمز اخراج کرد که میتونست واقعا 3-4 باشه فرصت ها برای 2 شدن گل بله گل محبی حالا کارو تلافی میکنه میره واسه تک شدن هردانی اونجا یه بغل پا گل دوم برای ایران محبی وارد محوطه جریمه شده تک به تک ضربه محبی گل دوم برای ایران دندان آزمون مهدی طارمی گل اول برای ایرانم مهدی طارمی عالی در محوطه جریمه ایران فرصت داره قطر میگل پدرو و بالاخره گل برای قطر
Le centre d'Abil. Il est magnifique ce but-là. Denis Sekertayensa.
New Zealand.
And finally, New Zealand. Thanks to the expansion of the tournament to 48 teams, the All Whites are the first team ever from Oceania to secure a direct qualifying spot.
New Zealand internally, I know, believe that they can get out of the group and the performances against these teams, if not the results, are what's giving them that confidence.
We don't have the organization defending in our own box. They score a goal from a header. And the same thing, next picture. We don't talk. I don't think, they just go. I don't think they talk to each other. I don't think they structure the defense.
It's honestly embarrassing, especially when these are things that they should be focusing on. Giving the other team the advantage, they're against us, the whole tournament's against us. Look at yourself before you start looking at the referees, looking at the pitch conditions, looking at all these different things.
I would really love to play in World Cup, to have this experience and to challenge myself with the national team.
ما به خاطر اونا هم شده که میریم اونجا بهترین نتایج رو بگیریم و برای خوشحالی اونا، خوشحالی مردم کشورمون به خاطر این پرچم هم شده بجنگیم و بهترین نتایج رو
and affect the mind of the players and the people at the same time. But all of us in the world, we always wishing the peace for all of the people around the world.
Iran doesn't belong to people. Iran belongs to all of us. If they are representing Iran, we all have to cheer for them.
Hello everyone, welcome to Golbezan. I'm your host Erfan Hoseiny, and today we're going to be previewing Iran's first World Cup game against New Zealand, which will take place in Los Angeles, California. I'm very happy to be joined by Pezhman and Babak. Pezhman, how are you doing?
Hi Erfan, nice to be back on the pod. It was a long time ago.
It has. And Babak, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Last time I was here, it was audio only, so this is a whole new generation of podcasts.
So let's get straight into it. We'll start off with the squad selections. So Amir Khalinoui called up 26 players for the World Cup, as well as 3 reserve players. So for the goalkeepers, we've got Bayram Van Niazman Hoseiny. So yeah, Khalifa was actually the goalkeeper left out. I'll come to you, Pezhman. What do you think of that? Do you think that he made the right choice taking 3 experienced goalkeepers, or would you have wanted someone like Khalifa there?
I mean, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. He wouldn't have gotten any minutes, maybe for the experience, but we can see in this squad that uh, getting experience with the actual team for young players isn't something that's been Aleno's main topic. So him being left out isn't a surprise or a big deal. He would be the third goalkeeper anyhow.
For the defense, we've called up 4 center backs and Ali Nemeti, Hossein Kanani, Shuja Khalilzadeh, as well as Daniel Iri. Babak, what do you think of those center backs? A lot of people expected 5 center backs to be called up, but we only went for 4 actually.
I'm quite surprised that we only had 4, to be honest, because most likely we're going to be backs against the wall against Belgium, and the way we're going to play, I wouldn't be surprised if we have a suspension or a red card here or there. So I would have personally gone with 5, something Carlos had done in past World Cups. But looking at the defense, Majid Hoseiny is going to be a big miss, but of course he's never really, I don't know, set himself in stone in the national team, and injuries have hampered him over the past few years. But can't say there are too many surprises. Of course, Sadek Moharami, another player who a couple of years ago was a nailed on, couldn't get into the squad as well. So I'm not overly surprised. The big question mark will be who he's going to choose to be his main pairing.
For the center backs, I think it is important to mention that if we decide to play a 3 at the back, like we've shown to play in some recent friendlies and in training sessions, we have the likes of Ali Nemeti and Saleh Hardani, who can play on the left and right back positions respectively. Yeah, for the right backs, we've called up Ramin Rezayan, Saleh Hardani, as well as Arya Yousufi. So 3 right backs, and I think that is one of Iran's strengths heading into the World Cup. Pezhman, what do you think?
We can call it strength if you want to be nice. We can also call it lack of competition. So, but I go with the strengths, or I go at least with experience. So maybe that can help. And also, I'm sure we're going to talk about it maybe later, but experience, not just playing big games, not just playing in the World Cup, but also dealing with everything that's around playing in a national team, dealing with the problems when you play for Iran. It's so much more than just playing football. Maybe that is something that is actually more important now than ever, to have players that are used to that kind of situations. So we should not underestimate the mental parts of the squad as well.
And then from right backs to left backs, at the left back position, we've called up Mirad Mohammadi and Erfan Harsefi. And I think it's been the same 2 left backs for the last 3 World Cups, except for last World Cup where Abulfaz Jalali was also called up. But Babak, what do you make of this?
It was a big surprise to see Hoseiny come back in, to be honest. We thought he'd stepped away and he wasn't in or around the, let's call it, call-up options, but that was a big surprise for me. But looking at how things have panned out, I think he's brought him in for his leadership and to create some more squad unity with everything that's happened back in Iran. So I am surprised. And the fact that Milad doesn't necessarily or usually stay fit means that it's likely Hoseiny might start at least a game at the World Cup. So that's going to be one of our weak areas, I think, left back. As much as Pezhman thinks that maybe on the right back side there's lack of competition, I think we're pretty good in terms of being stacked there. But the left side will be a bit more worrying, that we haven't been able to create a new opportunity or a new player coming through the ranks.
It's funny because Hoseiny seemingly, well, Galno said after the Asian Cup that we want to call up younger players and we're going to change generations or shift generations. And then Hoseiny was not called up for around 2 years, I believe it was. And then suddenly a few months before the World Cup, he brings it back into the squad. So we're heading into the World Cup with 3 defenders that are over 36 years old, and Ramin Rezayan, Khalilzadeh, and Ehsan Harfsafi. So that's an insane stat. Moving on to the midfielders, we've got Rouzbeh Cheshmi, Mohammad Ghorbani, Mohammad Razzaqinia, Said Ezzatullahi, as well as Salman Quddus. I would say all of these midfielders, except maybe one, are defensive-minded midfielders. So I think he does want to play with a 4-2-3-1 in at least one of the games. Pezhman, what do you make of the midfielders called up? I've seen a lot of people say that we've called up too little midfielders as well. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you about being very well defensive minded. Although someone is maybe probably one of the more the players that can play maybe on the wings and also like behind the strikers. So he is probably the only option we can go forward with those kind of players. But that maybe could be, as you mentioned about the central defenders. So one of them, like Rouzbeh or maybe even Said Ezzatullahi, can actually play as a central defender if needed.
I'm not sure how Ezzatullahi would play as a center back. I think it's been years since he last played as center back, but you never know with Amir Ghalinoui and the Iranian national team.
In a back three, you never know. If we're out of options in a back three, I could also, like Pezhman said, I could visualize Said playing there if we're short of options.
The last time we tried something like this, I think, was versus England, actually, when Rouzbeh Cheshmi played in the back three. And we all know how that went, but let's see what happens this time. For the wingers, we have Mehdi Ghaedi, Mehdi Torabi, Mohammad Mohibbi, Alireza Javanbakhsh, and Mohammad Mohibbi, which I already mentioned. Yeah. So, Golizadeh obviously isn't there. He got injured before the World Cup, and I think we're going to talk more about that. I think we need to, because that is going to be a huge miss. But along with the right backs, I think this is another position where we have a lot of players, and the competition, like Pezhman said, could be high. What do you think, Babak?
Yeah, it's we might have a lot of names on paper. I think Torabi could also potentially play in the middle if pushed, if we're short of options again, maybe as the one behind the striker. You mentioned as well Hoseiny. I think again he could be someone who could play in the middle, but the options are there on paper, but I don't see the depth in terms of quality. You have Qaedi, you have Hoseiny will probably be more on the side for Ghalinoui to get into the team. Javanbakhsh has been injured for a while. We also have to say about midfield, Cheshmi has been injured for a while. What kind of shape are they going to be in the World Cup? So you have 2 players with big question marks there. And then you've got Mohibbi, who should be a nailed-on starter. So I don't see options. What happens if Mohibbi gets injured? What are you going to do then? Yeah, and then Javanbakhsh coming back from injury. So I actually think that the depth that we think we have is not as much, largely due to injuries and, let's say, lack of match fitness. So it's a bit worrying for me to see the names. They're quite similar to the names from 4 years ago as well. And we could argue that team was past its sell-by date. That team was aging. It was tired by the time the third game came across against the US. You could see there was only one team that was fit and had legs. So looking at this, most of the same players 4 years older is quite worrying.
Pezhman, I wanted to ask you, do you think we also don't have the depth that we think we do in the winger position? Because I have something to say about this after.
Yes, I agree with Babak there, because if we would have, then players like Qaedi would have been taken the next step to be the hopefully the player we wished he would become. Now he's just another player in the Arab leagues. That's at least how I see him. So that makes Mohibbi, that gives Mohibbi much more responsibility than needed, because the lack of quality players around him are few. So if we say like Qaedi is is our kind of joker. He's interesting playing. He was that 5 years ago. Now we should expect more of him, and we can't do that. And that's what's worrying me. That's the lack of depth that we have.
I actually agree as well. I think that, yeah, I mean, the names might be big, but I don't think that the quality is as good as we think it is. And I think it's very sad because I think one of Iran's best positions is the winger position. But most of the good players aren't called up. I would have loved to see a player like Alireza Kushki called up, like Sayad Manesh, even Amir Hossein Mahmoudi, who's been doing well. I think these players would have done better than some of the players who've been called up to the current squad. Anyways, moving on to the striker
Hossein
position.
Nejad as well.
Hossein Nejad as well, yeah, who
in
can
the
play there.
front line. Yeah.
Yes. Moving on to the striker position now. We have Mehdi Taremi, obviously, Ali Alipur, Deniz Ekef Dargahi, Amir Hossein Zada, who can also play as a winger, and then Shahryar Moghandu. Now, I have a lot to say about Moghandu. I mean, he's been...
Poor guy.
You see, I'm sure he's a good person, okay? I'm sure he's a great person, but he's not a good footballer, and he should not be playing at the World Cup. I mean, sure, before we could say, oh, he's the top scorer in the PGPL, at least there were, and even though that's not really a big achievement, we could at least, give them the benefit of the doubt. But he's not been playing well for club. He's not been playing well for country at all. I mean, around a year ago, I think it was, when we saw that game against North Korea where he played, and he actually didn't get called up for a while after it, but now he's back in the squad. And it's funny because when Ruzbe Cheshmi got injured in the camp, Amir Khalinoui called Shahryar Moghandu as a sort of replacement, but then at the end, both of them went to the World Cup. So I think he was just looking for some sort of excuse to take him. Pezhman, I'll come to you first. What do you think of the strikers?
Well, we should not have multiple strikers because we only have one, and he's the only guy that will play probably 90 minutes per game. So Mehdi Taremi is our guy. He's our captain. He's the leader both on and off pitch. The only worrying thing is that he will maybe be too tired. Since he won't be playing with Azmoun, we know that they have a good chemistry. He will take a lot of responsibility, and he actually does that defensively quite well. And maybe that's thanks to Carlos Queiroz, and I think he will need to do it as well. He will be. My guess is that Mehdi Taremi will be getting most kilometers per game from the Iranians, at least top 3. So Moghandu playing or not, I mean, that's not our biggest issue, to be honest. I think even Alipur will go above him in the picking order anyway. But Taremi needs to be kept fit, and he needs to avoid yellow cards because he's that important for us.
And needs to play as a number 9, but when was the last time he's been played as number 9? When your best striker is not being played in his position, you're going to be forced to start with people like Alipur or Moghandu. And that's the problem here. Because it's likely, from what we've seen in the friendlies and even earlier, that Taremi is going to play like a 10 behind, if not further back, if he's forced to. So this really shows the lack of depth and imagination for Khalinoui.
And it shows that maybe we needed more midfielders because Mehdi Taremi was playing as a midfielder at some point against Gambia. And yeah, like you mentioned, Babak, he has been playing more as a 10 rather than his natural position. And against Gambia, we saw Hossein Zada start ahead of him. And I don't know, that begs the question that maybe we see someone like Deniz Dargahi play. But I don't know how likely it is that he makes his debut at the World Cup. But speaking of Dargahi, let's talk a bit about him. Babak, what do you think of his inclusion at the World Cup? Do you think he deserves to be there? Do you think he can help the team out?
Deserves, arguable, but when you look at the competition like Alipur, Moghandu, I can't imagine Deniz Ekert or Dargahi is any worse than them. He plays in Europe. He's been come through the ranks in German football and later in Belgian football. So I'm sure he has a good structure to his game. He peaked a couple of years ago, so we're probably not getting him at his best level. But like you said, he's been injured. He hasn't been playing. Is he going to make his debut at the World Cup? Probably yes, but off the bench. And then would he be forced to start with him again? Maybe in the second or third game if we really need a result. So I'm excited to see him because there are very few exciting propositions in this squad right now, especially with the decision of not calling up arguably your best number 9 player. And we know there are other circumstances around it as well.
He doesn't really like calling up young players. He doesn't like taking risks. But one player which has grabbed his attention is Ami Mohamed Razwaqinia, as a 20-year-old central midfielder who can play as a defensive midfielder as well. And he's actually been playing recently for the national team as well. So I think this shows the quality that he has. And Pezhman, I want to get your thoughts on him, maybe. Do you think he should start at the World Cup?
To be honest, I haven't seen him playing that much for club because I don't see the Iranian football league anymore as I used to. So it's more of what other people are saying and what I have read about him, that he seems like an interesting player. I don't think he will start at all. I mean, if you're looking at how Qalanoi have picked this team, I'm surprised that he even made the cut. So, but I'm happy for him. I would like to see him, and I would like to see him to do good, actually, not just for him, but showing that, okay, now the young generation that have been cut out by Qalanoi, they actually are hungry. They actually want to play for Team Melli because they haven't got the opportunity. So he's like carrying a lot of responsibility for this shift of generation. But I don't know what he can bring to the table in international World Cup games.
Yeah,
I'd like to say just a couple of words on that as well. I would 100% start with him because with this squad selection, I would play Mehdi Taremi as a number 9. And I know that Pezhman is suggesting it's going to be Salman Said, and I'm sure that'll probably be the starting combination in midfield. But I would play Salman Said and Razwaqinia and have someone a little bit further forward, give us some steel in midfield, and not force Mehdi Taremi to come to central midfield to carry the ball forward for someone like Alipour or Moghanlou. In the World Cup, if you get one chance or a half a chance, we know that you have to take it. And even the likes of Azmoun, Taremi in the past have missed key chances. Are you going to put your money on Alipour or Moghanlou to finish a clear-cut chance? Probably not. You'd want Mehdi Taremi at the end of those chances. And for that reason, I would play someone as a third player in central midfield.
That's interesting. I don't think we've seen Qalanoi play with 3 midfielders, not for a while at least, but it would be interesting to see. And let's talk about the notable omissions. I think the big one that we're going to talk about is Sardar Azmoun, the third highest goal scorer for the Iranian national team. Obviously, like you mentioned, Babak, there's other circumstances regarding his exclusion, but let's talk about how much Iran is going to miss him at the World Cup. I mean, he's a player that tends to show up a lot during big games. We saw at the Asian Cup against Japan. We saw against Qatar. We saw it in qualifiers a lot over the last 3 cycles. And sure, maybe he didn't have his World Cup moment yet, but I think he would be hungry for it. So Babak, what do you think of Azmoun not being in the squad?
I mean, no country can afford to not call up one of their top 3 easily best players on the squad. We know it's been a bit complicated, and I've gone back and forth on whether I would have stuck with this decision or not. But ultimately, after the final squad was named, I thought about it, and this should have been handled better, especially by older, wiser people. And you could argue that Sardar, who is a big game player, and we can also say he didn't have a great season and he's been injured, but the same could apply for 4 or 5 players in the national team that have been called up. So it's not about the form or quality, it's about something else. And to a degree, it's justified. On the other hand, he's never been the most intelligent or wisest player or person when it comes to opening up his mouth, etc. So his post after not being called up couple of weeks ago, I think that was his veiled apology, and that should have been taken by the people in the country or the federation to try to mend fences after that post, which he tried to illustrate his patriotism or his love for his country, which you can never doubt. It's unbelievable to doubt that. It's more, again, complicated, and you can understand the decision either way for non-sporting reasons, but for sporting reasons, it's going to cost us. And that's his last World Cup. I really doubt we're going to see him as a 35-year-old in 4 years' time.
If Qalinoi is in charge, we might. Yeah, I agree with you there. And like you said, it's not about the form, but it's about what the player can bring to the table at the world stage. Two more big omissions I want to mention are Alahyar Sayadmanesh, who I would say is our most informed player in Europe right now after Golriz was injured, and Mohammad Jawad Hossein-Nejad. And both of them have not been favorites of Qalinoi since he came in. They haven't played much. I think Alahyar got called up maybe in 2 camps and played maybe 1 game. Pezhman, what do you think of both of them being omitted from the squad?
It doesn't look good for us. It doesn't look good for Qalinoi, to be honest, and it makes you wonder what's the main reason for not, having one of our few European players in the squad, because we know Alahyar's strength and qualities, and he could easily have been playing in one of the Arab leagues at the moment, like Qaidi, like Qorbani, like Saman, like Sardar, and like Shojan, like half of the team. He could easily have been doing that now. That maybe would have helped him to play in the national team. Because if you're playing in Al whatever, sorry about, not wanting to diss the Arab leagues, but you can compare them to at least Europe, in my opinion. If you play in Al whatever compared to a middle team in Belgium or like a lower team in Belgium and Holland, it's not comparable. So I want to know what's the main reason for not giving him the trust. He's been a bit unlucky, Alahyar, with injuries. For his young age, he's got plenty of injuries. And he's been kind of like outspoken. He's kind of like this non-Iranian style. I'm talking like Iranian in Iran. He's like an Iranian in Europe kind of guy. And that's maybe something the Federation is not too happy about. We can just speculate, to be honest. But I think maybe Alahyar is a kind of guy that sees himself as even like a starter in the national team. And when you go head to head against a Buffon like Qalinoi, that doesn't sit well with Qalinoi. And he's got the power to do something about it. And I think my guess is that probably Alahyar is a bit too proud to do to change his way of being an Iranian or communicative. But to be honest, it's only Alahyar and Qalinoi that knows the real answers.
Yeah, and some more players who I feel like could have made the squad are, like I mentioned, Kushki and Mahmoudi. I think they could have helped the team a lot. And so the 3 reserve
You could
players,
argue, guys, you would argue, pick the 11 best players that are not in the squad and put them against the best 11 from the squad. The game is going to be a tight game. Yeah. So, and
including
that
the
is
injured
the big,
players like Golriz.
exactly, including even if they put Golriz out, but Alahyar, Sardar, you have in goal, let's say Khalife, for example. You have, let's say, Muharrami. You have Kushki. You have not a Hossein-Nejad. You have a decent core of a team.
Ali
Pick a couple of
Karimi
players.
in the middle.
Another one there, yeah. So you could. It's going to be tight, and that's the biggest I would say qualm I have with Qalinoi. His squad selection has been horrible. This is the worst squad we've had in World Cup history by distance. I was debating whether 2014 or this, but then looking at it and looking at the age and the characters, this is the worst squad we've ever put to a World Cup.
I mean, yeah, So the 3 reserve players who will be traveling with the team to Mexico, just in case for injuries, are Mohamed Khalifa, Amir Hossein Mahmoudi, and Hadi Habibinejad. Just to break down the squad a bit more. So our squad is the second oldest squad at the tournament with an average age of 30.3, just after Panama. And it's very close as well. And then we have 17 players playing in the local league. In the PGPL, we have 5 players playing in the UAE League, and we have 4 players playing in Europe, and that is counting Russia. So big fall from the previous World Cups. So Iran played 2 friendlies recently against African teams. The first one was against Gambia, which we won 3-1, and that was televised. And then the second one was against Mali, which we won 2-0. So I'll focus more a bit on the Gambia game because that's the one I think we all saw. Babak, what did you think of that game?
I thought first half was poor. We were slow. We were not building up well. Everything we did went down the left, and then it would break down with mostly, I think it was Hossein Zadeh. At that point, it wasn't working so well. But it got better in the second half. I think Kalenoi probably ripped into them. We were much higher tempo. Taremi dropped a little bit deeper. Hossein moved a little bit more central. I thought throughout the game, Saeed was good on the ball. He was the only one that was really trying to play football, moving it forward. He was a plus. I think Ramin coming on was a plus. Arya Youssef, he was excellent, especially in the second half when he moved to the, let's say, higher up the pitch. I think it was left wing back mostly, or left wing in that area. Yeah. So there were some pluses, the tempo, and the fact that despite playing crap quite often under Kalenoi, somehow we pull out results. That is something that can't be discounted.
It's very
as much
important,
as I
actually.
criticize.
Yeah.
We know how to dig out a result, even if the way the game is playing out, doesn't look like we will. So that is a positive that could come into play when we play the likes of New Zealand and Egypt.
Yeah, exactly. And the second game was against Mali, and Mali aren't a bad side. They came in with their main team. They made the African Cup of Nations quarterfinals last time, only losing 1-0 to the eventual champion Senegal. And we won 2-0 against them, with goals coming from Said Ezzatullahi, who scored after 11 years for Team Melli, which I think that might be some sort of record, the longest space between 2 national team goals. And then Ramin Rezayan as well. Pezhman, I want to ask you, first of all, what you make of this result.
I want Ramin.
Ramin as well. You can talk about Ramin. We're always happy to talk
kidding.
about Ramin and his.
I'm
he always
fanboying.
comes like he always comes in great form just before a World Cup. And yeah, but I want to know your thoughts on our opponents. Like, do you think we could have played better friendlies, or is this going to help us at the World Cup?
I'm just glad it wasn't Iran A versus Iran B, to be honest, or like another game versus Uzbekistan. This time, Uzbekistan would actually be a decent team to play against. Playing against Qatar, I don't think that will happen anytime soon. No, I mean, we're used to play against the African teams that we usually actually pay for their like flight and camp and this and that to make it happen. And I'm happy that Mali was actually one of the opponents. What I'm sad about is that no other team picked us, or was at least able to pick us. Like, let's say they think that Iraq and Iran play similarly, then it would be nice to play against Iraq's group opponents, like Norway. That would be a decent game. But I think, other teams are scared of coming close to Iran because it's so much difficulties. So maybe if we done like we done in previous camps, had friendlies in the host countries. But then again, it was really hard to even get visas to the host countries. So everything is like messed up. Me, Babak, and I'm sure you too, Erfan, we're used to this. It's nothing new. The players are used to this. It's nothing new. To be honest, I don't think that what's happening around the team, I'm sorry, not to answer your question anymore, but I don't think what's happening around the team makes that big of an impact that we actually think. So playing Mali instead of playing maybe even better African teams such as Senegal or like Morocco, I don't think it would be like, okay, it would have been fine, but we're just happy to play against a team that's not under the 150 level on the FIFA ranking.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And I think especially under the current circumstances, we would have probably been happy with any decent team. And I think Mali is a decent team. Okay, let's move on to the game. Iran will start off their World Cup campaign against New Zealand at the Sophie Stadium in Los Angeles. That's going to be, I think, the game that Iran must win, and I'm sure everyone agrees with this. It's the first game, and New Zealand are the lowest ranked team in the tournament. They've not been getting the best results recently. They just lost to Haiti 4-0. And they looked very shaky at the back. With all due respect to them, their defense looked amateur-like. So I'll come to you, Babak. What do you make of this game, and what are your overall thoughts going into it?
Must-win game for Iran if we want to qualify to the next round, and a win could give us 1 foot into the round of 32. So anything less than a win, and we're going to be in big trouble. I don't think we should take it for granted, despite the 4-0 to Haiti. I know New Zealand will play England in a couple of hours tonight as well. It's not going to be easy. They're physical, they're strong, but so are we. I think it's not going to be a high-quality game of football, and I cannot imagine more than one goal between the two teams, whether it's a 2-1 or a 1-0, or could go in either direction. It's going to be tight.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we win this game, we put 1 foot into the knockout. But I think if we win this game by a bigger margin, maybe 2 or 3 goals, I think we can feel safe going into the Belgium and Egypt games unless we lose by big margins. And it's never easy to play against legendary Tim Payne as well. But Pezhman, I'll come to you. What do you
He's
make
an
of this game?
ex-Blackburn Rovers defender, so he is a legend.
Yeah. So Pezhman, what do you make of the New Zealand game? Yeah.
I think we're really underestimating them, because let's not forget how Iran plays against, let's so-called weaker opponents. Look at Iran trying to establish their own play, even under Qalanoi. It doesn't look good. It's a bit too slow because we have a lot of slow players. I don't know the quality of New Zealand, even if they lost against Haiti, because I'm only thinking about New Zealand. I think it was in 2010 World Cup, right? They were there, and if I'm not also mistaken, they were the only unbeaten team. They got 3 draws. So why should we underestimate them? Even if Allah plays playing in the Australian League or in League One or Championship in
Chris Wood,
England.
Pezhman. Chris Wood, the number 9. He's
I love
probably
him.
the best striker between the two teams. So he's going to be very dangerous, and who's going to mark him in our game? And he's quite tall and strong, so that's going to be a tough battle.
He's a player who consistently scores in the Premier League as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a 50-50 game. I'm not underestimating New Zealand at all. Maybe they're actually playing an Iran kind of game, expecting the opponents to have the ball and being quite offensive with the attacks, counter attacks. I can't see a 4-0 win like Haiti did, but then again, I really hope I'm wrong, and I hope that Iran can get that win, because it's a do or die for us, I believe, and for New Zealand as well. So they see their chance in the World Cup here for the next step against Iran.
Personally, I'm not very worried about the New Zealand game. Maybe that's just me though. But I'm looking at their defense. A lot of the players they play in New Zealand itself or in lower European divisions, and yeah, sure, Chris Wood is dangerous, and he'll probably manage to score a goal actually against us. I wouldn't be surprised. But I think that we should be able to win this game. And Babak, you mentioned before, we don't seem to play well against like lower ranked teams like Kyrgyzstan or North Korea in the qualifiers, but we do manage to win them. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that here as well. So before we move on to the predictions, our own Samson Tamijani interviewed Arash Noamouz, a former player for PAS Tehran, who won the AFC Champions League, as well as former Team Melli futsal player.
Rest in peace, PAS.
Rest in peace, PAS Tehran, and also founding member of LA Galaxy. And they spoke about Iran playing in Los Angeles.
Hi, welcome to this bonus interview. Samson here. I have with me, last week I had a legend of playing with Iran's last Asian champion national team. And today I am speaking with Iran's last Asian champion from a club team, Mr. Arash Noamouz. Arash, thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Now, I mentioned the last time an Iranian club won Asia, and that was when you were with PAS. Tell me about that. I think that was that 1992?
1992, yes. And that was the year that we won the Premier League twice in 2 years in a row in Iran, and we lost 3 of our good players, Hamid Khakpour and Markar Agajanian, and they Hamid and Mohammad Khakpour went to Pers to play for Persepolis, and Markar went to the bank for Tijarat Bank that time, and so we lost them, and we went to play the Asian Championship in Bahrain, and we had like 3 young, really young. They just joined our club, and like no one thought we're gonna get any good results since we lost 3 of our best, like good players. And but we did it. We were all young, under 25, and we beat Yomiuri, and then the team we played against, the Saudi Arabia champions that time, and they had 3 Brazilian, and they were beating everyone in club level in Asia, and we played really good in the finals, and we beat them. We became the champion. I remember the whole team. We were all young, 6 of us, not less, and there were like only 3 were playing for that time for national team, and we were a member of national team that time, 3 of us, and 3 or 4. Garusi, Gholampour, was me, and Modirusa, and we were all like, we played as a team, and that was like a really good experience I had, because always growing up, and you see Persepolis as a lot that time, Taj before, and they were all like being the champions, and the young team like us, without any like like that, people all around us come and see, oh, they're gonna win the championship, and then we were raising the cup that time. All of us, we were all like looking at each other and said, we did it. We were all like so excited, and something we achieved like it's no one thought that time.
Did you ever think that would be the last Iranian team to win?
No, actually, that was it. No. Actually, we said we did it. It's gonna bring this thing to like a confidence to our club, because before, like, everyone were talking about these clubs with all the money they're spending, and we knew they were doing that, and we proved them wrong, that we can, like a team, as a team you play, doesn't matter, like all these, like we had like 6 young under 22 that time. I remember they were so young, 19 to 22, and they were part of the team, and we beat this team that they were all like bragging about, and why not? It's going to be a good time, and but unfortunately, never happened. Yeah.
Especially with pause no longer existing, unfortunately. How do you feel that Iranian teams have made it that far, semifinal, final, and they haven't been able to get it done? Well, in the last few years, they haven't been able to get close.
It goes back to like the reason I'm just saying that they were young players that time. We at least there were like 2-3 clubs like around us. We will see that the coaches, they're like really going to the neighborhoods and find players and develop. And it was like past we had a 2 fields. It was grass field. Even that time, SLR Perseus, they didn't have fields. They did that was the problem. Like they had to go to run around. That time it was our neighborhood by they were doing workout without the ball. Like really, they didn't have fields to go practice and this the team. So and I think still like I know a couple of years ago when I went back home and I saw young players, they were there. Some of our relatives, they would drop their kids off, and some clubs or neighborhoods that they had training for. They were like picking up like players to see to see how they can get them ready to go to start their career and all this thing. But still, there's no program. There's no like in Iran.
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure, yes, and to a program to see how to go find players and develop them to the next level, as we see in the neighborhood countries and rest of the like all these teams that you see that they're getting results, and that's always we're lacking that part. I see.
That's what Hassan Nazari told me last week. And by the way, for any of those watching who have not watched the episode, we highly recommend you go back, watch that episode, that interview I had with him first, and then watch this. He told me about how there was such a huge emphasis on the youth development back then that he is not seeing right now. And that is why other countries like Uzbekistan, Qatar, they can catch up to Iran many times. Iran sometimes fail to defeat them, and it's looking worse for the future, and that's very concerning. But anyway, and by the way, your dad was also the federation president back then. Can you talk about some of the things that you learned from him, some of the things that he instituted?
Yes, when my dad was the head of the I was in college, like Polytechnic of Tehran, when he was the head of the federation, soccer federation. And many nights we were like, my dad was sitting and planning all these things that I'm talking about, because myself and a couple of my friends that they were electrical engineers, like they were studying electrical engineers, that they were so good in mathematics, and to see all these, we studied like in Premier League to see how they do all these clubs that I was Liverpool fan that time myself, and we will see it how they have money, but those that some teams that they don't have money, how they get the players, how they find these players, how they make them grow in their teams, and all these things. We did a lot of study really that time. To when we were in college, I was telling my dad that, hey, I can help. Like he was just telling me go. He'd really rather me to go study. That's why, I mean, I end up playing soccer again next to like when I was going to college as well. But to go learn all those things and come back and help to how we can get these players. Because when I was playing in neighborhoods and growing up, and still when I was playing even at the national team, we were going to these neighborhoods and we see these players. I was telling when I see you telling my friends that this guy is twice better than me. Why they don't get to this event? No one hears about them, or how did they? And they would they really end up like not no one even knew about them. And how can we go? How we can have a program, something that they like these coaches go see these players, bring them, provide something for them, somewhere to, and so we can get them to the next level. And they're going to have a really good teams and the best national team. We really still, it's not happening, unfortunately, in Iran. There are a lot of talents that go to waste. I mean, they don't even get the chance to go to the next level. Anyway, we were talking about my dad that time, and most of the things that he was planning to do, there was no budget for it, or he couldn't do. He had to cut corners here, there, or something, just whatever it was available. That time they wouldn't even couldn't raise money. There was no advertisement or something around the field, so they couldn't. That time was not legal. And then after he was out of the thing that they let, I saw those commercials around, so they could raise money and do something for soccer. But still, like I don't. That's why I see our youth team still like they're losing to the other countries around us, which is not like it's not a good sign.
If I'm not mistaken, you got a handful of caps with Team Melli, the senior national team, and you played with all those players who just missed out on qualifying for the last time the World Cup was in the United States. I believe it went down to just the last game of qualifying against Saudi Arabia, needed a win and lost. Was it 3-2 or 4-3?
4-3, and yeah, that was our. We didn't. That was the year I moved to U.S. here. We didn't qualify, and there was a lot of things going on. I think we can always point here, there, what's going on, but again, things that made me just leave, don't stay and play there was just the same thing. We were champion of the Asian, like our club pass, and all of us were sitting on the bench. On the bench, like they wouldn't, like none of us played, like Asian champion. And so these are the things that the many things. But that last game for Saudi Arabia was, I think we played in Bahrain, and the atmosphere was not like they're all like Bahrainis or all those things. They were forcing, and the field was not. And I think they watered the field like right before the game, and it was muddy, and it just like they did everything to make us not to go, not to win that game. So.
Well, you came to the U.S. Shortly after. I played with the Houston Hotshots in indoor. You did very well with them, by the way. And then they start up the Major League Soccer. How did you get attached to Los Angeles? And how did you really emerge as an important player? You scored, I believe the record is the second ever goal for LA Galaxy.
Yes. Before that, when the reason I came to Houston, we played the Indoor World Cup, the first Indoor World Cup in Hong Kong. And we made it to the semifinal. And we beat all the teams that we got. We were in a great group like Holland, Spain, Paraguay. We went up and we beat all the teams. We went to the top four, and we were staying in the same level with in the same hotel with the U.S. And we got to know the players. And one of them said, "Hey, I'm going to be the coach of Houston Hotshots. And do you want to go and play for me?" And that's how I ended up coming to Houston. And from here, we just like my career again. I was not supposed to be a soccer player. I was supposed to study and become an engineer. And I really always, the reason I played soccer, I was enjoying it a lot, and I got involved with this good players. With Mr. Faraki, Hossein Faraki was the one that really got me. Without him, I wouldn't even wouldn't be a player. He was the one that got my dad to agree. So I go play for Dora before when I was in like 17-year-old, and that's how I got involved with soccer, actually football, because of Mr. Paraki. And we were all talking, so that's why I got involved with soccer. I was just the LA was like when I was in Houston playing for Hot Shots, and MLS was starting, and a lot of Iranian in LA, they knew I was in US. So one of the businessmen in LA, he sent me a message that, hey, if MLS is starting, we would love you. You can come and play for Galaxy. You should try. And I got a message from MLS. They called me and said, hey, they want to see you in LA. So I flew to Los Angeles. Kobe Jones, I remember that time was there. We were all like went to see the coach, and we had a talk, and he said, can I see you now how you play? We had a friendly game, and like after the game, he came to me and said, hey, go get your bag. We want you to join the team. And the rest is history. And I played the first game, and Ore Campus, I remember he just threw me the ball from, I was a left defender that time. We were playing 3-5-2, and I was on the left side midfielder, and I got the ball from R18. I went all the way and scored the goal. So that was I always remember that.
You didn't just go and score though. You dribbled like 4 different players at least. It was like a Maradona type goal, a goal that Iranians never saw again until someone like Ali Karimi came around. So that was really special to see. And it was a great season, that first season for you.
That was our team was like really the best team that time. The players we had: Cienfuegos, Kobe Jones,
Campos,
Campos, Tanque Hurtado in the front, and
still talk with them.
But with we have a group chat, like we're still like Cienfuegos still in LA right there, and I'm gonna go see him hopefully when I go next week. But yeah, we had a great team, and I scored the last goal of the season too against Dallas that season, and I was 30 years old, and I remember that time I said, it's end of your career. You need to start thinking about what you're going to do with your life after you retire. And so that same thing happened. I got injured, and it was end of my career in '97, the next season.
And you've been very active as an entrepreneur since then. You have a couple of restaurants, at least 2 restaurants in the Houston area. Was it Hungry's Cafe? Was that near?
Yeah, that's a family business right now. Yeah, in total right now it's around. We have 10 locations.
10 locations.
Yes.
Wow.
So
Plus,
we have a local table.
Plus, local table. Plus the 401 in Bel Air. That is where you and I, with my dad, we watched the 2018 victory over Morocco in the opening game of that World Cup. That's one of the greatest memories I have for sure. And so you reside, you have your family in Houston, but you say you're going to go to LA. Hopefully we'll see each other next week. So I'm curious, what are you expecting for this World Cup? It's the first time Iran plays on American soil in a World Cup. We wish it could have been you back in 1994, but just what are you looking forward to, and what do you think of this squad?
Actually, the U.S. played Iran played U.S. back in after the World Cup, '98 World Cup in Los Angeles.
Friendly, yep.
Friendly there, and I will remember I went to the hotel and met with all my old friends, Ali Dai, everyone. They were part of the team, and now this time I don't know the players, but I'm gonna be there with my brother. We're gonna go for sure with a lot of friends. We're gonna go see the game. in LA next week, hopefully.
What do you think of Iran's chances? There's been a lot of criticism about the tactics, the personnel picked. No Sardar Azmoun, for example, but they are predicted to be able to get past New Zealand.
I hope so. I hope so. Even though they're the oldest team in the World Cup, right? Is that right? The
second oldest with Panama. Yeah.
The Panama, yeah, and third. I was going through the roster and the age. I would say that from 37, and they have like only like few 22, 23, 24. I was just looking around at the roster, but it's good to start. Like I think for the first round we have a good chance. If like the Javanbakhsh and Hoseiny, they're all like the user experience that now they're playing, and they can get help from these younger players to come in like after maybe 60 minutes if they get a good result. It's all depends on how they take advantage of the chances as soon as, like, if they score first and then they get to give rest to those older players. I think we have a good chance to go to the second round.
Arash, I want to ask, I imagine it was a little different, the amount of support in the 90s, like and in that friendly in 1999 or 2000, whenever that was, in LA when Iran last came, to now there's more political division. More people might say, oh, we should not cheer for the Iran national team. As someone who has been in the U.S. a long time, you have a family here, you have many players who are friends from the U.S., Iran. What is your view on that?
No, I myself, I mean, I was part of it, and it's all about people. Like, when, I played like every corner of inside Iran with the club and Team Melli. We were going to places people couldn't afford having like I remember chicken for instance for lunch or something, but they would go find and give it to us, like the best lunch we had, like whatever they had. Like I always played for those people, and I think all those people, they all want Iran to the Team Melli, the players, to get a good result and win. And I don't think, I don't myself. I always want Team Melli to win, get results.
Do you have any message, English or in Farsi, to Iranian fans watching this ahead of this World Cup, or about what these players are playing for? Any message that you want fans to know?
We have to root for our Team Melli, our players. I think they're all here they just do their best to make all Iranian like a people to look good, to all the the way they. I think we can show everyone that who we are as like a country and people of Iran, and what they're going through. All this, it's really unfortunate, but that's going to help to alleviate some of the pain that they're going through. And I wish them all the best. We should all wish all the like a Team Melli to win, and we should all cheer for Team Melli.
All right, so coming back, let's continue and talk about our predictions for the starting 11, or what we'd like to see, actually, I would say, against New Zealand. Babak, I'll come to you first. I think that goalkeeper, we'd all probably agree on Bezan for all three of the games. So I don't think that's something we need to mention. But for the rest of the team, what formation would you play, and with what players?
I would play 4-2-3-1 probably. Back four of Milad. I'm not a fan of Khalilzadeh, I have to tell you, yeah, and I don't think it's a secret. But I would probably start the World Cup with Shoja and Kanani, and then on the right back, I would probably play with Ramin. Central midfield, Razaglinia and Saeed, and someone behind. I would play Taremi as the number 9. And then the 2 wingers, I would start with Mohepi for sure. And on the left, I would go with Hossein, even if he's not a natural left-sided player, but I would go with that 11 because I think on paper, arguably, other than Arya, who is, touch and go, maybe he would play there. I would start this way and then have someone like Arya Yousefi ready to come on and Mehdi Qaidi ready to come on if things are not going according to what we want. So that's what I would do, but I don't think that's what Qalinoi.
This is a crazy lineup, but why not? I actually want Hoseiny in goal instead of Beiro because I'm tired of him misjudging, how to go out. The guy's done it his entire career. Nothing will change. So Hoseiny in goal for me. I would probably want to have Ramin on the right and Shuja and Kanoni in the middle because their work together is decent. We should not underestimate that. To the left, Yousefi. Okay. And then in the middle, I want Said Ezatolai. I want someone for those. And I like Torabi. I think he could be useful in these kind of games. So Torabi, Qaidi, Mohebi, and Taremi up front. That should be 11 if I'm not mistaken.
Isn't Torabi injured though? He hasn't been figuring in, or am I wrong? I think
he should be
isn't
fit.
Torabi injured?
He should be
he
fit.
Should be
Well,
fit
he played in the friendlies.
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't mind Hoseiny starting as well. I do agree with you, Pezhman, but I think that I don't think Qalinoi would make that type of decision. But for the rest of the lineup, I agree with you, Babak. I would do a 4-2-3-1 as well. I'd have Hoseiny Kanani in the middle, Mirad on the left, and I would actually have Hardani on the right. Did you mention Hardani, Babak?
It was Ramin as well, but
It was Ramin.
That's what I would start. Yeah, but Hardani is the likely starter, I think.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is because I'd actually want Ramin to start on the wing, and that might sound crazy, but I've seen Ramin and Saleh play together at Esteghlal, in a similar lineup when Ramin playing
It's a good call.
a bit in front and Saleh playing at right back, and it's worked. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. In the 2 defensive midfielders, I want to see Ezatollah and Razarinia, but I wouldn't mind seeing Qudus and Ezatollah as well. I'm not going to complain. In the left, Mohebi, I don't think anyone disagrees with that. And then probably Taremi as a striker. And I'm really not sure who to put in that 10 position. I guess Hosseinzadeh.
Left with Hosseinzadeh,
yeah. Really no other choice. But I want to see Taremi.
So you would play
Hossein
Hosseinzadeh before you play Saman? Is that what you're saying? If Razarinia and Said start, you would rather play Hosseinzadeh rather than Saman?
I'd play Qudus, definitely Qudus. But that is considering Qudus starting as a defensive midfielder.
But we also have to remember that Qalinoi largely plays 4-4-2 of some sort, with 2 strikers of some sort. So that also kind of throws things. We're going 4-2-3-1, but I cannot see him switching it up so radically. So could be that someone like Ali Pour is starting the first game, or Moran Lou, because of his aerial threat against the stronger.
I can see Ali Pour starting, especially after the recent friendlies against Gambia as well, where he did actually pretty well. I think he got 2 assists. We like to bash him a lot, but we'll give credit when it's due. He did well against Gambia. So let's talk about our predictions for the New Zealand game. Of course, we're going to touch some wood before we do that. Pezhman, I'll come to you first. How do you think this game will finish?
I've been saying all the time, the last couple of weeks, that Iran will lose all the 3 games. So I have to stick with that, and hopefully I'm wrong. So 1-2. So 2-1 for New Zealand win.
Wow. Babak?
I don't generally disagree with what Pezhman says. I can see Iran going home with 0 points. All the squad, I think the heat and the temperature and everything, the circumstances as well, will come to play a factor. the quality is not so deep in the squad. So that could happen. But I think we'll end up scraping a draw against New Zealand. So I'm going to predict 1-1.
Well, I'm much more optimistic than you guys because I'm going to predict a 2-1 win. I think we will concede first, but I think similar to what we've seen before, we're going to manage to win the game. And also, I don't think Iran will keep any clean sheet throughout the tournament. I think both of you guys can agree with me here. Yeah, that's it for the New Zealand game. I don't think there's anything to add. Any final thoughts, Babak?
Let's hope that your predictive powers are better than ours and that we can start the World Cup with 3 points. It's going to be an interesting few weeks.
And Pezhman, any final words?
Yeah. You know, I usually hold grudges, and that's why New Zealand actually are on my list, because I don't know when this game was. It was way back ago, and hope I'm not mistaken. But New Zealand was about to play against Iran, if I'm not mistaken. But they fought like Iran was such a third world country. They were so scared that they brought their own water from New Zealand or wherever they were coming from to Iran because they didn't think that, you could drink clean water in Iran. Now, I have to check up on this, and hopefully, Erfan, you guys will Google something and find an article about this. If you do that and found
Did they play that game? No. That's 2003, Iran versus New Zealand. It was It was the OFC Challenge Cup, and they did play in Tehran. So I think that is probably the game you mean.
Yeah. So 23 years old. 23 years grudge. That's older than you being alive, Erfan. That's how grumpy this old guy is.
Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. Make sure to follow us on all platforms. We'll have some good content coming your way for the World Cup. We have some of our guys who will be attending the games. We've also been accredited for some of the fan festivals at the World Cup. So make sure to check out our socials. Follow us on Instagram, on X, and everywhere else. Like always, like the video, and see you guys next time.
Hi, I'm Hassan Nazari, former Iranian national team player and 1976 Asian Cup champion.
This is Steven Basher, former Iranian national team player.
Hello, my name is Yasaman Farmani.
Hello, my name is Ali Golizadeh.
Hi, my name is Deniz Karayenza. I play for Standard Liège in the Jubilee Pro League.
My name is Saman Godous. I'm playing for the Iranian national team.
Hi, my name is Alaya Sayedmanesh.
My name is Masoud Shojai. You are listening to Golbezanpodcast.
You guys are listening to Golbezanpodcast.
You are listening to Golbezanpodcast.
Golbezanpodcast.
You're listening to Golbezanpodcast.
And you're listening to Golbezanpodcast.
You are watching Golbezan.